Everybody, this is Hondo Carpenter. It is super early in the morning on Thursday. It is probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 4:30 or something like that in the morning Eastern time. And I want to dig in with you today, if you don't mind, on the latest on the Las Vegas Raiders coaching search. I am your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. So thanks for joining me. We have a ton of information to go through, and I think it's going to be some vital information that you're going to really appreciate. Now, before we get started, a story erupted yesterday because Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a conversation, and it was about the Raiders. I want to, first of all, tip of the hat to Michael France, one of our staff reporters, who does an absolutely terrific job for us. We were able to get a quote from someone with direct knowledge of the conversation. Now, you probably saw the story, but in case you didn't, and remember, yesterday, I think we had 21 stories at si.com/NFL/Raiders with any breaking information, um, analysis, thoughts. You know what? Someone sent me an email on one of the articles. Do you really believe this crap? And I said, no, but the author did. And we're not going to, we believe in free speech here. So when one of our uh, terrific Sports Illustrated writers has an opinion, whether we agree with it or not, whether I agree with it or not as the beat writer, we're going to put that out there and let people discuss it and talk about it. That's what good journalism does. We don't, say one of the things that, and again, this is not a political podcast in the least bit. But we see this in America. If you're a left or leaning person, you only go to people who agree with you. Well, that's not healthy. And it's you should be able to read someone else's opinion and totally disagree with it. But it's still a legitimate opinion that's out there that people feel. And that's our job. Our job is to bring you the food. It's your job to eat it. And we're going to continue. Again, 21 articles yesterday. So proud of our team in the work that they're doing for you. But I want to read you the quote that Michael got. Um, no, I know who it came from, and person has direct knowledge of the situation. And this is what they said about the conversation. This is Tom, quote, Tom and Bill uh, had a terrific conversation in the last 8 days. The further they get from having worked together, I believe both have a great endearment of the other. Bill has taught Tom so much in his career, and Tom reached out to him seeking wisdom and thoughts on the new role. It's very fair to say the relationship is improving, but I don't believe the discussions in any way were related to Bill becoming the head coach in Las Vegas, unquote. Now, let's just sit there and dissect that for a minute. I think that speaks extremely highly of Tom Brady, and it falls into pattern to what we've seen from him as a professional. Now, all of us are getting a front row seat to him as an executive in an NFL franchise. But we have seen Brady as a player and businessman um, execute his life and the things that he does in a certain fashion. He's a winner. It's what he does. And so I think this is um, tremendous. And I think it shows Brady is willing to go out and, you know what, I'm willing to talk to people and listen to people that I respect and admire. And is there anything that I could be missing? It should really, I believe, encourage Raider Nation that he isn't coming in, oh, you know what, I'm the greatest. Look at all my rings. I'm the best. I don't need any help. No. One of the things that made him a great player is he would constantly be reviewing film, looking at film, and asking guys, what do you think? Someone who played with Tom on the defensive side of the ball once told me that Tom was asking his defensive guys, hey, what are you seeing here? What are you seeing there? Going to them for wisdom. There's great wisdom in a multitude of counselors, but they got to be good. They got to be people. I mean, if I mentioned this I think yesterday, but if I'm needing an internist at the hospital, I don't want a Cadillac Escalade mechanic, but if I'm getting my Escalade fixed, I don't want an internist. And so there's wise counsel and there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. And I think this bodes well for the Raiders. I think it speaks well of Tom Brady's character that, hey, this isn't about my ego. I want to go look. Now, I said a couple things yesterday that I want to expand on a little bit today. I talked about, I believe when this search is over, they're going to have an experienced coach. Now, I want to go back and I want to address Antonio Pierce for a minute. He didn't have NFL coordinator experience, and he didn't have a ton of NFL coaching experience. We all know that he was a terrific and awesome player. And I can tell you that I 100% believe that whoever they hire is going to have at least coordinator experience, because there are some things I believe internally, whether it's right or wrong. Well, that's not fair. I know internally there were some mistakes that AP made, that they knew there was going to be mistakes because he was a rookie coach. But there were some mistakes that were made because they felt, not because he was dumb or not because he couldn't do it, but there were mistakes that were made perhaps because he hadn't maybe gone through a traditional coaching ranks, position, coordinator, head coach, that could have been avoided with a little bit more experience. Okay. I don't think that's in any way being hypercritical of Antonio Pierce. So I get that. That makes sense. And as you're looking at the lists evolve, and we're going to get into those today, you're seeing guys with significant experience. Second of all, this one I find interesting. I said this yesterday and I'll say it again. Until it gets closer to where it's a possibility, I'm going to leave them off because there's no reason to cause hectic lives for people. But I am hearing there is two particular candidates that are not really on the radar that the Raiders are looking at. Now, a lot of people uh, have emailed me yesterday pretty much the same question, and I'm going to probably do a question and answer email here. Podcast soon. I don't know when that will be, but it's coming. Anyways, here's my point I want to get to. I got so many emails yesterday on one subject that I want to address it. Um, as you know, uh, Max Crosby spoke publicly and talked about being disappointed for AP. And I know this, um, that Max Crosby had incredible respect for Antonio Pierce. And if you didn't want Antonio Pierce to be the head coach of the Raiders, or if you did want Antonio Pierce to be the coach of the Raiders, and you're not disappointed for him, the father, the husband, the individual, that's pretty disappointing in you. You may say, I'm happy he's not the head coach of my Raiders. But you know what? I feel bad because he's a person. I never celebrate when people lose their jobs. Even in situations where I have prospered because people have lost their job. I'll never forget one time I got a job, and I asked the person, what happened? I thought maybe the person retired, and I was told, no, we removed them because they weren't, you know, doing a good job. And I remember my wife and I, we got in the car and we just kind of grabbed hands and prayed for them and asked God to bless their family. And because don't be one of those people, when bad people, okay, okay, but when people just lose their jobs, don't you can be thankful if you didn't want him as your head coach. And I thought when someone sent me a clip of what Max said, I thought it was very warm. And and someone asked me, "Do you think this is Max saying, all right, AP's fired, I'm out?" I didn't get that when I watched the clip at all. And maybe it's because I know Max, but I literally got, this is somebody that I care about. I know his family and I know him, and I'm disappointed for him. I mean, I don't think anybody, Raider fan, I don't think any Raider fan is would have wanted him to fail, even if you didn't want him as the coach. I think people generally want others to do well because if they don't, it means your team did bad. So, anyways, that was my take on. A lot of people asked me my take. The second biggest question I've gotten over the last couple of days, and when I say second biggest, I mean, we're talking a voluminous amount of email, is the Max Crosby, uh, Tom Brady type relationship. Do I think that they could work together? Absolutely. Max Crosby's entire desire in his life is to win a championship. He has made more money than he'll ever be able to spend. His family has generational wealth. And I'm going to tell you, that guy is after a championship. And so he puts himself in a league with Kobe, Michael, Irvin, Tom Brady. That's what his aspirations are. I was asked on a national radio show, I think it was Monday, but it may have been Tuesday. Um, Someone said to me, is Crosby's leverage here? He wants to be the highest paid player in the NFL. And I made the comment, I think everybody wants to be the highest paid at their profession. But if you gave Max a choice, a Super Bowl championship or be the highest paid defensive end in the NFL, I have never asked him this question, but as somebody that knows him very well, I would say to you emphatically, he would pick the Super Bowl championship. And just emphatically. So I think there is probably a lot of joy when you listen to his comments talking about, I want to know the direction of the organization. I want to know what the plan is of the organization. Brady was never the highest paid. He wanted to be the biggest winner. And that's Crosby. So I think for those of you that heard Max's comments before about the direction of the franchise, I would think the more Tom Brady is involved, the better that is for the Raiders and the Max Crosby relationship. So there you go with that. Now, again, I don't even know how early it is. I think it's about 4:30, but a while. So this is as of the moment of this taping, what we know. There are a couple people that are not on the radar. Vrabel is on the radar. Matter of fact, before we get into the names, I need to address Vrabel for a minute. So people around the NFL, and I reported this back in September, felt Vrabel was the front runner. Then the Patriots did a very shrewd thing. Didn't cheat, but it was a very shrewd thing, and it's what you expect from the Patriots and Bob Kraft. They got rid of Gerard Mayo the moment the season ended. So because Vrabel was already interviewing with the Jets, and so this allowed them to jump in and get on Vrabel. He is their number one draft choice. He played there. He has a great relationship with the Crafts, and a lot of people around the NFL now think the Patriots are in the driver's seat to get Vrabel. All right, that is the NFL sentiment. That being said, no one thinks the Raiders are out of it, and they all believe that the Raiders are going to absolutely have a formal interview with Vrabel. But I'm just saying the conventional wisdom around the league is that Vrabel would take the Patriots job. I don't know that. I haven't talked to Mike. I'm simply telling you exactly what people around the NFL think, and a couple of those people are people who know Mike, who've told me that. However, one person said to me last night, Vrabel and Brady are close. There's a lot of respect there, and they believe a hard push by Brady and a sales job by the organization on why a place that has been notoriously quick triggered on getting rid of guys. I mean, they're going to be paying 4 coaches here very quickly. Why are things different in Vegas that Vrabel would want to come? The quarterback situation is settled in New England. They have a massive amount of cap money. They've got great picks. And he already knows the Crafts in the organization. He doesn't know Mark Davis. And I mean, like he knows the crafts. The Raiders do have a ton of cap space. They do have decent picks, not comparable to the Patriots, but still very good. But their quarterback situation is not settled. And the Raiders have so quickly had a notorious trigger finger. Is there some promises or some ways that they can, make Vrabel confident that the Raiders are a good choice for him? I mean, when you look back, they're still paying Gruden. They're still paying Josh McDaniels. They're still paying Antonio Pierce. And now they're going to pay whoever the new guy is. Is Mark Davis going to be willing to pull the trigger on the contract it's going to take? Vrabel, Vrabel, I was told, and I believe it, 100% I believe it. Vrabel ain't coming cheap to anybody. So who knows what that contract looks like? Do you think, he would come here for 6 years at what's the cost? Would he come here at 6 years for who knows? Who knows? But the point is, would it take $63 million? Would it take 72? Never know. What you don't know the amount of money that it's going to require. Is he going to want a 6 year, 60 million fully guaranteed deal? So those are all dynamics that you have to look at. And he's experienced, he's got a track record, and whoever pays him is going to have to step up. So those are all things going on with Vrabel. I don't think it's out of the question in the least bit. I really don't. Um, but I'm just giving you what I'm hearing. Conventional wisdom is that Vrabel's probably going to end up with the Patriots. So obviously, there's a couple of very experienced names that are not out there. We know that Cohn is a guy that there are certainly a lot of smoke, but there's no fire there. I can confirm that there is interest, mutual interest, um, although I'm told as of this taping, no formal request has been, but that Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, is certainly a possibility in play. Um, we know about Ben Johnson. By the way, Ben's going to interview with the Raiders on Friday. Aaron Glenn, I don't know when his interview is, but Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, um, also is there. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator from Baltimore, we reported that yesterday, and of course Steve Spagnuolo. Now I want to really dig into Spags a little bit because actually I want to very quickly tell you one other thing that I heard that I think that you're going to find fascinating. I asked someone with direct knowledge, can you tell me what they're looking for in a coach? And I shared with you yesterday experience, but I specifically dug down yesterday, late morning, and I asked the person, do you think they're going to go in a defensive way, an offensive way? And they said, I don't think that there is a predetermined side of the ball, which I thought was pretty interesting, especially with Brady coming from a quarterback, and this team needs to fix an offense. But with the high probability that Patrick Graham is going to leave, and because there's massive interest everywhere with him, that surprised me a little bit. But they told me Tom is looking for a football savant. He's looking for somebody that knows the game. I'll share this with you. I have a friend who played for the Patriots with Brady, who was on the defensive side of the ball. And he talked about coming off the field at halftime and Brady's, asking, excuse me, this was in training camp. He was going after the defense on some things that he thought they were doing wrong because he knew everybody's job. And then one particular time, he's coming off uh, a field and asking guys what they're seeing. That was the one in training camp where they saw, hey, you guys are going against us every day. Are you seeing any tells? He was constantly looking for feedback from the other side of the ball. And they said that's exactly what Tom is looking for in a coach. He's not going into it saying, I have to have an offense, I have to have a defense. So, for example, Bill Belichick, many people believe, is the greatest defensive coach in the history of the National Football League. But one of the things that impressed people about Belichick is he knew offense so well because of the way he thought as a defensive coach. So he was constantly able to watch film with Brady and others, and he could come up with offensive concepts. He could, discuss offensive concepts, and he was a defensive guy. So I was told that the Raiders are not looking at either side of the ball for a background. They're looking specifically for someone who has a totality of understanding of the game. I think that's really good. One of the things that I've noticed over my many, many years of covering football is that teams swing. So, for example, they're terrible offensively, great, defensively. So they hire a new coach and they go get an offensive guy, and then they swing the pendulum to offense and they suck at defense. And so now it's, oh, we got to go hire a new coach. He's got to be defensive minded. Brady is looking for the guy that when he sits in that head coach's chair, he has a conceptual understanding of offense, defense, and special teams. And I think that is super smart. It's where Brady has succeeded, whether it was with Bruce Arians or whether it was with Bill Belichick, more with Belichick even than Bruce Arians, although Bruce is very, very smart. He just wasn't with him that long. So those are the things that this person said that the Raiders are looking for. They're not sold on any side of the ball. Now, I asked this person, can you tell me what you think an interview with Tom Brady is going to be? And remember, this person knows Brady very well. He says it's going to be a colorectal exam. I said, all right, can you elaborate? He goes, Tom's not going to be a jerk in the least bit. He's going to be very warm and engaging. That's who he is. But Tom is going to really drill people. Do they understand the game, the nuances? And this person said, that's where I really believe if Vrabel is his guy, the Raiders will pay whatever they got to do because he's known him, he's talked ball with him, and he's known him so long. He already knows that Vrabel has those things. And so if he decides that Vrabel is ultimately his guy before the Patriots make a decision, he said, I would think that they would put a full court press on it. I think it would be hard for Mike to turn him down. So he believes the quicker the Patriots make a move, the better it might be for the Patriots. But as long as there's a delay, it could be beneficial for the Raiders. Now, I want to talk about a specific candidate that emerged yesterday. And I was a little bit surprised his name became public yesterday. And when this all hold it process is over, I will get into a lot more detail on that. Steve Spagnuolo, who is a phenomenal defensive mind, absolutely phenomenal defensive mind. There are a few things that people like about him. Of course, all of his experience has been tremendous. He is a very demanding coach, for winning only. Winning, 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 which is where this organization is headed. Boy, they've talked about it. It's been a slogan, but it's where they're headed. And they believe, like if you look at this year, this is not anywhere close to the best Kansas City Chiefs team that they've had talent-wise. But they're winning because Patrick Mahomes is playing phenomenally well, in the things that don't show up on the stat column because he's very smart, but that defense too. And they think getting Spags not only continues to ensure a great defense and not only continues to ensure it will cripple Kansas City. You just don't replace Spags. And yeah, they have good players and they're going to still have good players. But that ability of him to tinker with the defense, change the defense, he's very Belichick-like. His philosophy of each week, he's able to metamorphically change his defense. People like that. Brady loves that. That was something he really respected about Belichick. And so you bring in a Spags, and you know you're going to go get offensive minds, and he understands offenses the way that Belichick did. There is a lot of people who think that hire makes a ton of sense. I'm not predicting it at all. I'm not even close to prediction because people on the inside are telling me they're not close to predicting. If if I ask people, like, okay, you're not close to predicting. If you had to say who you think, well, everyone thinks probably Vrabel. But remember yesterday I talked about being Tomlin? It's why he's going to sit down with people. I know there is some real interest in sitting down with Aaron Glenn. That man has shown some Belichickian type defensive mind, but the way he makes those adjustments is he understands offense. So I think this process is fascinating. I think this process has been illuminating, and I think this process tells us a lot. So that's the latest information that I got as of about 4:30 in the morning Eastern on Thursday. Please keep it tuned, SI.com /NFL/Raiders. In fact, I don't even know why nothing didn't show up, but I'll just put this up here as I finish in case you're wondering where to find all that stuff. There you go. But the Raiders are being thorough, and they are actively, vociferously looking under every rock. And I would tell you this: you are the great Raider Nation. You have every right to think, feel anything you want. I would never insult you. But as a completely unbiased observer, I am very impressed with how they're handling this. I am very impressed with the process. Telesco and his team are evaluating free agents. Telesco and his team are looking at draft stuff. I am not implying Telesco's not involved in the coaching search, but I'm saying he is sitting there on the perch and his staff's doing a terrific job at what they do. He's got plenty of guys, and Telesco is right in the middle of it with the coach. And I am just impressed when I say with the coach, with the coaching search. And I just think right now it's extremely impressive the way the Raiders are handling things. If you choose not to believe in the Raiders, I get it. I understand it. I totally get it. I totally understand it. But if you're looking for an unbiased person who's been through so many of these processes and has talked to enough people that I am aware of how it's going, um, I am impressed. And it is the first time where every person I talk to is very complimentary of the Raiders. Very complimentary of the Raiders. And I think that's worth something for you. Now, you have the right to determine your opinion. I'm telling you what I'm hearing from around the NFL. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please keep it tuned to si.com /NFL/Raiders. And as always, follow me on Twitter at Hondo Carpenter and IG and Threads at Hondo SR. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope that you have a great day. God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow.